been a bit of an update to Lightroom, it appears. I was not exactly paying attention, but they've made these changes. Masking updates, grain slider. Let's try the HSL one first. Where was I? I was up to editing that one. First, I'll straighten this thing. I think that looks straight. It's taken at a bit of an angle anyway. Now, in the HSL slider, apparently, they've made a few changes here. If I was to adjust the reds, I get that. But now they've added the similar thing to things like whites, where if you hold down the Alt key and slide it, you can actually get an idea of what was happening without being distracted by the image. So now apparently, I haven't even played with this yet, HSL. If I go to the reds, click on the slider, hold down the Alt key, oh yeah, it grays out where that color doesn't occur. So it takes away everything but red. So I can there's yellow. This means you can see where the yellow is occurring, and okay, I see how that can be useful. Let's play with masks. Is it going to pick up that these kids are people? Well, bugger me, it did too. Well, we'll try that one. How the hell it picks up that those are people is beyond me. Now, there's something to do with grain. Let me go back to that. What was I babbling on about? New masking updates, grain slider. Adjust grain in specific parts of your image for creative effects. Okay. Not something I've ever thought about, but oh, I see. They just added the grain slider in the mask. So you can add let's go out of there and zoom in. I've never noticed that that wasn't there, to be honest. I suppose it could be useful to take away grain. It's not something I've ever thought of doing, adding grain to a specific. Delete that because I don't need that mask. It's not something I've ever thought about doing, adding grain to a specific part of an image. But I suppose it could be useful. The HSL one could be, I tend to use calibration a lot, but HSL could be handy for things like that. If I wanted to, because normally you would do this, that the floor in here does come up looking quite blue at times. If you for some reason wanted to whiten it up, yeah, you'd be doing it by eye, whereas not having the other colors there distracting me could be useful. Again, not something I often do because processing so many of these pictures, it's not something you generally do to every single picture. But you'll notice it does have quite a blue tone. And since there's no blue uniforms in here, I could, for instance, do this. HSL slider. HSL, HSL, HSL. I'm sure it's on here somewhere. White balance. Basic color. Ah, there it is up there. So I suppose that's useful. We go down to HSL. Oh, yeah. Didn't mean to have that done, but anyway. So I suppose that could be useful. Don't know why it puts this up here. Looks like some weird glitch that it's got a problem with. Anyway, I just thought I'd do a bit of editing for a couple of minutes live, just to make use of my live streaming thing. See if I can find something that needs straightening. See if I can find one of these that could be useful for using the remove tool. Sure, I've got something here that's got a hockey stick sticking in that I don't want to get, that I don't want. There must be one here somewhere. Statistically, editing these, I'm going to have, normally I'd have at least one that's got a hockey stick that needs dealing with. It can't be cropped out of the picture. It appears not. Oh, there's one. Although that would be cropped out normally. Let's go with that one for the moment. Oh, that's right. I completely forgot. When I send it to Photoshop, it sends it to the beta version. Never mind. Not the version I normally use when I'm editing. I only got the beta on there for the generative fill. One of the interesting things with the remove tool is how it functions. Remove tool. I completely forgot. Some people ask why use the remove when the generative fill thing is available. It's partly because for doing bits, but does a really good job. It's also quite good at joining two pieces, which this picture doesn't have a good example, but in the hockey, one of the things you see on some shots is around the goal, this line here can sometimes be a bit broken just because of wear and tear. And if you want it looking good, I did it on one the other day. If you want it looking good, you can patch the gaps in the paint job. Unfortunately, I don't have an example handy. Let's see if I can find one in here. Need a close-up goal shot. Here we go. We might get one here. See, just there, those gaps. Well, if I send that to Photoshop, reduce the size. I'll just zoom in a bit, make it easier to see. Sometimes it's a little bit hit and miss. Doesn't seem to be doing it at the moment. It spotted the gap because I went, reduce the size of this, went from one line through to where the other line was across a gap. There shouldn't be a gap there. Didn't do it with that one. The other thing it can be quite good at, that's probably not a good example, but often if you've got, especially if it's a straight line, you can join two lines together. Actually, I could have used that as an example. It might work here, otherwise I might do an artificial one. See, on the paint here, if I was to, I'm not likely to do it here, but if it was, say, on a wedding venue or something and some of the posts were a bit grubby like that, the removal tool's quite up within reason. It might have trouble here right on the very edge, but let's see what it does there. That bit, but Let's see what happens with, I prefer this one, generative fill. If I something I haven't played with for lines on here. Curious to see if it can recreate the line or whether it thinks the whole lot should be blank. Theoretically, there's no reason why it shouldn't work out that there's supposed to be a line intersecting there. It got part of it done. So I could do this. Not that it goes to this much trouble for these hockey photographs, but if this was a staged portrait on the rink or something or other, and I wanted to make the lines look better, this is where this would be quite useful. It's just a little bit, that's better. That can be tidied up. This is where the experimentation and getting to know what circumstances it actually does something in. Well, it didn't exactly replace the line, but it made it look a little bit more tidy. But there's an option. I'd say that's closer to reality. And one can go around and just tidy up the whole lot if you wanted to. Yeah. Anyway, that's me for the day. Just a short little bit of Lightroom and Photoshopping. Some of the other things on here, new cameras, yeah, enhancements developed, support for Process 6, so not relevant to me. Added edit indicators for color icons, we had a look at that. HSL sliders, yeah, refine saturation and curves. Haven't had a look at that, and it's probably something that you barely notice anyway. Because some of these things are things that most people wouldn't really notice because they're just fine tuning something. So most of us wouldn't even notice what it's done, and that's assuming that you actually use that thing. This is something that, while I do use curves, I probably wouldn't notice that difference. Faster film strip thing in develop mode. Yeah, I suppose. Go back to here because I'm going to finish editing these soon. What else was there? And the grain slider in masking. Yeah, not something I can see myself using that much, but yeah. Anyway, that's me for the morning.